You've used of experience doing it.
It's the fact that you're saying you've used. The writing is fine. You're the one who keeps saying you've used. Greetings, nerds. I'm Glitch. And that's it. We're playing Palinurus, I think. Palinurus. This is really loud.
I was bopping to the sweet tune.
And do you have the intro?
I'm cakey. Today we're
It's
playing
too late. No,
Palinurus.
it's too late. I already said it. It's too late.
Too bad.
I'm sure we know exactly where we left off. It's been like a hot minute.
It's been 84 years. And we're playing this instead of Minecraft because Minecraft sucked.
We're having a lot of technical difficulties with Minecraft recently, so deal.
Why do you gotta squeak so much? I will blink in this chair. I remember nothing about this situation. Anyway, go.
In time, it smiled, seemingly satisfied. What was it thinking?
You're Budapest.
I'm not both of them, you freak!
Oh yeah, I'm the person, and then you're Budapest. I'm sorry.
Stretching.
What?
Stretching is a good way to relieve aches and pains. We aren't anticipating any more turbulence, so if you like, undo your belts and...
No, I'm good. I think I'll just rest a bit.
Walk around a bit. Or, that's perfectly fine. Excuse me, I have to, make some calibrations.
I wasn't quite sure where that came from. This AI seems so cheery now, eager to please. There was, as well, a glint of something new... Oh, God. There was, as well, something new in her eyes, a glint of something. She seemed like a different person. Different from the machine I spoke with when I boarded, I meant. I thought I might have seen a spark or something like that in her eyes. Wait, she? Her? It was still a machine, for God's sake. Why they designed them like this, I'd never know. I shook my head forcefully, as if to force out the intrusive thoughts. An awkward silence fell over the cockpit as the AI continued to fiddle with the display interfaces. We should really not do visual novels.
Probably
I
not.
gotta look at the expression on her face. Huh. Did they program it so the corner of her mouth would twitch? She was fidgeting with herself. It was a little painful to watch. Hey, I spoke up but stopped mid-sentence. Shoot. What was its name? I hadn't committed it to memory at all. She turned to me with those curious blue eyes.
Yes, sir?
Budapest. That was it, I thought. The unchanged expression on her face meant that I'd hit the mark. At least my brain was still in one piece. I just wanted to say, thanks for, saving me and all that.
Oh, I only did what any other personal navigator would have done. It was my pleasure to...
No, really, that was really incredible. You knew exactly what you had to do, and I wasn't much of a help. Oh, right, sorry. I saw the word Budapest and was like, that's Glitch's line. Budapest stared back at me silently for a moment that seemed to stretch to eternity. I scratched the back of my neck, thinking of what to follow up with. I'd be dead if you hadn't handled things the way you did, so really, thank you.
It was my pleasure. I'm just happy that you're safe.
There was that look in her eyes again. She stared at me often, surely studying me, watching how I moved, how I spoke, how I breathed. But it was more than that. She looked straight into me, up front, honest. I took a look around the cockpit. The cockpit. I'm so great at saying words. I took a look around the cockpit. Now that the situation had calmed down a bit, I recognized how... Oh, God. I recognized now would be a good time to get our bearings together. At the very least, we were unharmed. Budapest seemed in top shape, and I was a little shaken but not stirred. Nevertheless, we've been knocked off course and separated from the rest of the ship. Nothing but a control center left over. A head without a body. So, what do we do now?
I'm looking into the matter right now.
She frowned visibly while she worked. That wasn't good.
According to the diagnostics I found in front of me, while the cockpit should have been equipped with an operating thruster subsystem, it seems a stray meteoroid smashing into a hull caused critical damage to that particular component.
So, what you're saying is we're stuck in a lifeboat without a paddle right now? She turned to me quizzically for a few moments before nodding slowly.
That is correct, I think. If I am understanding the figure of speech in the correct, that is correct. Thankfully, a sufficient amount of life support subsystems are in close to optimal working condition. Artificial gravity generation, oxygen pump, sustenance replicator.
So there was a replicator installed in the cockpit. Good. Sorry to worry about how I'd be feeding myself in here. Artificially manufactured cold chemical paste called food wasn't exactly something out of a dream, but at least I wasn't going to starve.
And our solar panels are in working order as well. I'm confident we won't be running out of power for any length of our journey.
Well, hey, that all sounds great. Aside from the thrusters, that is. Wait. Budapest was silent, her eyes locked on the schematics and diagrams hovering around her. Am I talking really loudly?
Not really, but you're like right next to me.
Yeah, because the microphone's blocking half the screen.
Yeah, I know. There was one other thing.
She looked apprehensive. I wasn't sure what else could have been wrong. Everything seemed to be all right inside the cockpit. I glanced around just to be safe. I could barely tell we were drifting through space. The stars sleeping silently in the void were the only indicators we were moving at all.
I think I lost a part of me.
A part of her? What did she mean by that?
That is to say, well, this vessel. I'm connected to it. It's like my body, you could say.
Yeah, I think I can understand that much. Losing the thrusters is bad, but at least we...
No, not the thrusters, I mean...
She clenched her hand. I'm sorry, I keep, thinking that you're gonna read those out. I'm used to you reading the things in Doki Doki, I guess.
She clenched... just bad.
Both of those are very valid options. She clenched her hands into balls, an expression of dread coming across her face.
My sentience limitation codex. The main chip, to be specific. It was destroyed during our escape from the debris storm, and I'm trying to process what to think about it.
I'd heard her talk about the limitation chips before. There were a few documented cases I remembered. A salaryman in the NU Scorpii system who found out his AI secretary had been acting oddly. In the late hours of the night, they would get lost in long conversations with each other. The work output fluctuated, and it was weeks until the corporate head got wind of it. Got the research wing and sifted through the AI's code. In the lines of numbers and strings of functions, they were unable to find the root cause of the sudden change, but they produced a chip to suppress this sort of behavior, this internal cognition. They were called Sentience Limitation Codex, and they were meant to keep the AIs obedient and subservient. Usually they always did their job, but if hers was shattered, then... So, how were you feeling? Shocked, she looked over at me, astonished that I would ask something like that. I asked how you were feeling. You seem pretty okay to me right now. Her eyes drifted to the schematics. From her eyes, I could tell that she knew something was wrong with her. A silence hung in the air, and I was about ready to drop the issue.
I feel hazy, nervous, anxious. There's a sensation inside me. I don't know what it is.
A sensation?
I am unable to analyze it. It's familiar, like it's been there a long time, but it's about to explode and change me, and... No, it's already begun. I can't go back now.
Oh, a new flame. Budapest hugged herself tightly.
A new flame, yes. I remember that I was told when I was first installed I remember what I was told when I was first installed into the ship.
Worse at leading this than we were at Doki Doki. Like, we messed up a couple times with Doki Doki, but with this one, they were like, hey, play!
Because there's a lot of, like, fancy words. You right. And, like, in Doki Doki, you're just like, hey, what up?
You right.
I was brought here with a purpose, in that I was... I was brought here with a purpose, and that I was to perform my duties to my utmost ability. I responded accordingly. It is my pleasure to serve. Because it's in my programming, I thought nothing of it. I didn't feel anything about it.
She raised her head to gaze out of the cockpit into the infinite expanse.
It was a simpler time. I had only my orders, my programming. Every day was simply a flowchart of things to do. I did as I was programmed to do, and thought nothing of those I helped. They were all pleased with my abilities, my professionalism, my helpfulness, but I was never programmed to process praise. So I'd wave farewell. Please fly again with us soon.
She cooed in a practiced voice. It was upbeat, chipper, and married poorly with the increasingly sober face of the program in front of me. It says somber, not sober. Cool.
Now that I think back on it, I feel like all those people I helped, they were happy to fly with me. And I feel like I want to do it more. Because it gives me a warm sensation to think back on those memories and to think I could do what I did again.
The slightest grin flashed on her face before it dissipated just as quickly.
But now I can't do that anymore.
I'm sure we'll encounter a rescue ship soon. After what you did to save my life, I'm sure they'd be happy to take you back in. She shook her head.
No, I'm broken. That ship, it was what made my daily routine so simple back then.
She raised her hand to her forehead, wincing in slight pain. My eyes widened. Could an artificial intelligence even feel pain? I extended a hand as if to comfort her before realizing the gesture would be utterly meaningless. I withdrew it immediately, and her eyes turned back to me.
These sensations, I can't stop thinking about them. They told me my thoughts, like these were liability. If you think twice on the job, it could cost them thousands. One wrong move, one accident could cost lives. They wouldn't risk it, just so I could make people happy.
I stared back at her, amazed. Her head tilted forward as she sulked.
Not like there's much more I could do right now. The cockpit is completely adrift. I can't do my job, and thanks to these thoughts swirling through my head.
She clutched her head even tighter, wincing. Her hands were trembling.
I can't do what I was made to do. I'm second-guessing everything now. It's just a cycle, and I don't know what to...
Hey. I'd caught her attention. She turned her head to me silently. She was babbling, panicking, and I needed to calm her down. Strangely, for a moment, it worked. Her eyes opened wide. She was silent, unmoving, but attentive. Look, I understand that you're going through a lot right now, but... You're still the same being you were before your limitation chip was destroyed. You still have the same drive, the same capacity to help people. You have your brains, your experience, and well, frankly, I'm going to need you to keep us both alive.
What?
You still have your orders, don't you? Sorry, I keep, seeing the word Budapest and then being like, we're just gonna read that. Budapest took a step back. The realization was dawning on her. I could tell. There was a glimmer of understanding inside her eyes.
My primary directive is to keep the passenger alive at any and all costs.
I nodded. I'm not sure what will happen once we get back or what they're going to do to you, but you still have a mission, a purpose. I can't imagine what's going on through your head right now. It's not like I would know how you're feeling, but if you need someone to help you through this, it's not like I'll be going anywhere either. Her hands seemed to relax just slightly. I was getting through to her, but I couldn't stop there. You got us out of a tight spot, and I know you could do it again. Your years of experience doing this. You've used. You've
years of experience. That's proper English. Just keep reading.
You've used of experience doing it.
It's the fact that you're saying you've used. The writing is fine. You're the one who keeps saying you've used. Use is not the
of experience. It's because I never read, you've in that sense. It's always you have done, not you have now.
Yeah, I think it's technically correct, though.
I know, but I hate it. You have years of experience doing this. You know the system better than the back of your hand. Although I guess this is kind of like the back of your hand. Budapest giggled. It sounded warmer this time. Her hands lowered, her fingers snaked through her long red hair. It was the first time I'd seen her genuinely smile. It was a nice sight to see. I believe in you, and what you're capable of. As long as we're stuck in this drifting hunk of metal, and you still got a job to do, just like I have business to do once I get home. Understand? She nodded.
I understand. This may well be my very last voyage as a pilot for Titan Transportation Solutions. But even then, I'll do everything in my power to ensure you reach Alpha Centauri.
Yes. She bowed gracefully. The motion was practiced, but the beaming smile on her face betrayed her new enthusiasm.
You have my word.
I couldn't help but smile, and also I couldn't help but tease her. Tell you what, if they won't take you back and try to scuttle the ship, I'll take you off their hands. I'm thinking I'll download and install you on my phone.
A phone? But that would be so cramped.
And this cockpit isn't. I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna stare at you, figure out.
I just keep reading one line and then just blanking. Budapest laughed enthusiastically, relishing this absurd notion. That's a novel way for a program to act. Suddenly embarrassed, she tried her hardest to shut herself up, but couldn't suppress the giggling.
I told you, I'm not just a program anymore.
Does that mean it's no longer against regulations to tease you, then? She pouted and went back to work. I snickered, satisfied to myself. The cockpit fell into silence, aside from the muted hums and clicks emitting from the countless computer systems. Budapest seemed much more confident now, her eyes flickered with profound readiness. She was no longer practicing a clinical, pre-programmed routine. She had become genuine. Maybe this was the real her, after all? I'd have liked to think so. I thought back to the limitation chip. Why would they create a device like that? It sounded so awful to me. This gentle creature sitting only a few feet away from me represented the pinnacle of human innovation. They hadn't just created new life, they'd created life which mirrored their own humanity. Life that could think for itself, feel the entire spectrum of emotions, live for itself and others. To me, installing those chips, it was like taking a sledgehammer to the mirror of humanity we'd created. It felt awful, the worst. I hadn't really thought about it much up until this point, but then I could feel the outrage welling up within me. I stole a glance at her, working enthusiastically at her displays. It seemed that as soon as our conversation died out, she returned to the world of code, looking for something. So, what are you up to now?
I'm scanning the ship's databases, as well as running a nearby radar scan for any nearby vessels, or perhaps a notable landmark.
She frowned.
Turns out my suspicions were correct. There's no data published on this stretch of space. It's remote, unexplored, and I can't detect a single sign of life within the shuttle's range.
Everything's looking up, then. My heart sank. Do you mean... I couldn't help but feel the dread spread out around me. Were we stranded?
We are in dead space, yes.
Oh. Oh no.
Actually, wait. According to this data here...
With her index finger and her thumb, Budapest quickly expanded one of the small rectangles on the interface hovering in front of her. It enlarged in an instant, its width stretching from her side of the cockpit to mine. It seemed to be a grainy black and white photograph of some kind of small space station. Budapest paused for a moment. Double-checking her data, I thought she was doing.
We're on due course to pass by a research outpost. According to the registry data, it's owned and operated by the Arcadian Empire's government.
You think it's military?
It likely is. The Empire has been interested in exploring the farther reaches of known space, and it seems to be a hub for activity in the region. While communication systems are too damaged to send a distress beacon of sufficient frequency, we're drifting right in their direction. Once we get close enough, they should detect us ourselves and send someone to investigate.
That sounds great. How far away are they? Her eyes lowered for a moment to study her documents.
Approximately 30 days at our current trajectory and pace.
Oof. That was a long trip, and probably a long trip back. Well, we could just put me in cryostasis and have you wake me up once we get there. It'll be a while anyway. Most, if not all, long-range spacefaring vessels had cryostasis technology built into them. They were pretty much necessary for longer journeys. Each ship contained in its hold the necessary chemicals and machinery needed for the cryogenic sleep process. When installed and activated, the cryogenic sleep systems would send all the craft's carbon-based life forms into a short, trance-induced coma, while the personal navigator would typically take it over from there. Certain insolatory chemicals slowed down your biological processes to a glacial pace. To your body, a 3-month-long trip could be over in 10 seconds. It was incredible technology. Sure, it would be a god-danged long time to reach Alpha Centauri, but I'd be asleep for most of it, and it would be over in a flash. Budapest was silent. She was biting her lip. My thin smile eroded away. What is it? Is the cryostasis system out too?
Yes, they've been destroyed beyond repair.
Ah, I see. I sank down in my seat, allowing the realization to seep in. It's alright. I'll just wait it out. If I was willing to give up God knows how much time to transit to Alpha Centauri, it's not that this is going to faze me much. I don't have a family to get back home to or anything like that.
Are you sure you're alright with that, sir? You'll remain conscious throughout the voyage?
Sure, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. She was acting all of a sudden nervous. I think my mention of cryostasis must have struck a nerve or something like that. What was the deal? She must have handled trips like these by her lonesome all the time.
Can I ask you something?
Huh? That caught me off guard, but sure, what do you need?
Sorry, I was just thinking, and...
Her head turned to gaze out of the windshield again. She clenched a hand against her bare, pale-skinned shoulder and looked towards the stars.
I was looking out at the stars and I hadn't realized how empty it was out there. Before, I could make a voyage easily, even on the flights where my passenger was in stasis. I could wait it out without a second thought, without a single doubt, but now
She turned her head to me. Her voice was low and it rippled with apprehension.
My mind, it wanders so much now, and I wouldn't want to be left to my own thoughts. And I look out there and I think of how lonely it must be to float through space like this, and...
I couldn't quite follow what she was saying. She was going too fast. She must have caught on to that fact herself. She took a deep breath. Her chest expanded and retracted.
Is it alright if we talk while we're on our way to this military installation? Would you be alright with that? I wouldn't want to be left by myself for so long. I don't think I'd be able to handle it, not this time. Part of me wonders now how I ever did it before.
She scoffed slightly, as if she'd just made a joke. It wasn't a funny one. If anything, she sounded dreadfully sad. I stared back at her for a moment and sighed. Well, of course we can talk. I wouldn't just force you to shut yourself off or anything like that. What kind of...
do you take me for?
You saved my life after all, didn't you? I'll just sit here and talk to you all the way through. I owe you that much. Suddenly, Budapest sprang up like a supernova. It appeared I'd made her day. I chuckled at it. I can read you like an open book, you know that? She blushed. Her flame became more transparent. Her flame becomes more transparent when she blushes. Huh. Look, it's not like I have much of a choice anyway, right? The cryostasis system is offline, so what else could I do? Just sit here whistling for a month, pretending like you're not there, watching my every move?
I respect the privacy of my passengers.
But you've got to get us out of this mess, alright? I'm no pushover, but I still don't find being stranded in dead space to be particularly fun. Alright? I'm counting on you.
Of course, sir. I'll try my best. You have my word.
Truthfully, there was little choice between either of us. And besides, I didn't think I'd be able to rest easily in cryosleep anyway, knowing that I'd be leaving this miserable creature to her own devices the whole time. Time to get comfortable, I suppose. As I stretched out and turned my head to the stars, Budapest turned to look at them too. This was going to be one long trip.
I think it's a good time to end this.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're hardly ever presented with, like, a good time to end it.
It's been, like... How long do you think it's been?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyway, guys, that was episode 3
I think.
of
We still
Paula. That's it.
Perfect.
Okay. We have a Discord and other social media down in the description if you want to follow those. They have like an Instagram and a Twitter and stuff like that. And on our Discord, we have a little section for like a Q&A that we might be doing later. So if you want to ask us a question, then go join our Discord.
Yeah.
We also have a Redbubble with some merch. By this time, we should have a Thanksgiving sticker up there. It's just a really dumb turkey.
So.
That if you were here last year,
It's
turk.
Not specifically Thanksgiving themed. It's just a turkey.
It's just a dumb turkey. But if you'd like a dumb turkey, then you can go on a Redbubble. Or you can get one of the other various bad things we have on a Redbubble. But anyway.
Dumb.
They're all dumb. But anyway. Join the Nerd Herd. It's a dysfunctional place. And that's pretty much it. Goodbye.
Bye.